Goddess Diana and the young hunter Actaeon. Ovid writes, "Deep in the woods of a lush green valley of pine and pointed cypress, huntress Diana, chaste and fair, when wearied by exciting sport, loved to bathe with her nymphs in the cool, secluded grotto retreat where no intruders ever violated the sanctity and pleasure of their bathing. Goddess of the hunt and of the watery moon, chaste Diana never felt more at peace than when her naked flesh and that of her nymphs was laved by the crystal clear waters gurgling up from the subterranean depths. Imagine Diana's shock when, on instant, her calm was shattered by the wide-eyed hunter Actaeon and his hounds, who had purely by accident stumbled upon the secluded grotto. Indignantly, since no spear was at hand, Diana splashed water on Actaeon and added the goddess's wish, after glancing at his hounds, that he might be transformed into a stag. Knowing in the instant, with his gazing upon the exposed Diana, that he had unwittingly violated a sacred law, Actaeon turned away, first shielding his eyes and then fleeing the lovely scene. Of course, his dogs followed, but confused by their master as he metamorphosized into a stag, followed their nature and turned upon the deer, ripping flesh from flesh and flesh from bone, till even Actaeon's moans were silenced. And what a magnificent and tragic world Titian creates with this hint. The hunter Actaeon, strong and powerful and quite beautiful, is represented at the very moment of stumbling upon the goddess Diana's grotto, with her and her nymphs naked and exposed, and recognizing his mistake, he drops his bow, raises his arms as if to ward off the terrible calamity about to fall upon him. His left hand, as if pushing off fate itself, is pressed toward Titian's lovely sky, which hints at an infinitude that foregrounds the futility of Actaeon's gesture. It is the decisive moment, once again, when all changes utterly. You can't undo it and cannot push it away. Next to him, one of his trained and loyal hounds, powerful and focused and part of Actaeon's ineluctable fate. And what of the nymphs, their faces, their stories? This painting is such an astonishing world of gazing. Each person in the painting experiences the scene differently, and focusing on each one at a time, it is as if the gestalt of the painting shifts to mirror each one's individual world. One looks towards Diana, aware of the terrible consequences of Actaeon's innocent mistake. One looks rather coyly forward, the muscular and lovely Actaeon, utterly unaware of the true nature of what has just happened. What she sees is a handsome young man arrived upon the scene of their bathing. And one of the nymphs looks out with an expression of fierce protectiveness as she covers up her goddess. But the most aware of all is the woman looking from behind the pillar. Her face registers such a tragic and full realization of not only what has happened, but what it means. She sees Actaeon in all his strength and youth and beauty and innocence. She sees the terrible fate about to be unleashed over Actaeon's unwitting transgression. She sees her chaste goddess feeling violated and indignant over the intrusion. I'm fascinated by her. She's tragic realization and consciousness itself there in the middle of the painting, the infinite sky behind her, and upon the thick stone arch of the grotto, the skeleton head of a stag. It's all there. She sees the truth of the moment and the unfolding truth of the moment's consequences. She is the sensibility of tragedy itself, but she's also tender and lovely as she holds the cool, mossy stone with the dead stag skull looming above her. And there is the terrible, indignant stare of the goddess Diana. She had, after all, chosen this secluded grotto to meet her needs and the needs of her entourage. This is their place of peace and of bathing and of calm and of regeneration. And there, that young man rips apart the calm with no bow or spear at hand. Her stare will have to do, and her goddess wish or whim to turn into a stag, which, since she is a goddess, is so inviolate as fate. That lovely, trained, and loyal hound follows nature, the nature of earth and sky and biology and training, and as Actaeon flees the scene in horror, he metamorphosizes into a stag, and then, in this poem about the change and transformation of the hounds, his trained and lovely hounds change too. Suddenly, without their master, they do as they are trained and attack the stag unwittingly, tearing Actaeon to pieces. It is so very sad and unjust, and yet plays fairly with fate, for Diana is nothing if not chaste. It might as well be Actaeon's skull there upon the pillar. And so the painting becomes a meditation on power and fate and desire and accidental folly and the terrible consequences of unintentional errors, the infinitudes of Titian's blue sky, the beauty of the nymphs, and the warm curves of inviting flesh. Diana the chaste. We as viewers are more guilty of the crime of looking at what is forbidden to be looked at than is Actaeon. The skull on the pillar seems in constant moaning contrast with the warm curves of the nymphs. Amidst this maelstrom, a nymph still unaware tenderly dries her goddess's foot. It is such a loving and gentle and caring action done as the horses of disaster plunge ever onward, even into our own lives.